Well, Tuesday night's storms brought a hefty load of damage to many in Minnesota and Iowa. North Iowans received the brunt of the damage due to a derecho. KIMT StormTrack 3 meteorologist Hunter Donahoe dives deeper into the definition of a derecho in this week's Ask Away.
Wednesday this week, a derecho moved through South Dakota and North Iowa. That was confirmed by the Storm Prediction Center earlier this week. Perfect question to ask this week. What exactly is a derecho? First, we'll talk about some recent derechos that have moved through the upper Midwest in Minnesota and Iowa specifically. Of course, that August 2020 derecho that moved through central Iowa caused a lot of damage to crops and farms. December 2021, that derecho moved through the heart of our region. May 2022 out in western Minnesota, and of recent, July 28th to 29th, 2025 that moved through South Dakota and North Iowa before taking a slight southerly jog down in towards portions of east central Iowa. But how do derechos even form? Well, they're pretty decent thunderstorm complexes for sure. They have a lot of warm and moist inflow, air rushing into the storms. They also have rain-cooled air that drop out of this storm, producing a gust front on the leading line of the very heavy rainfall and, of course, strong winds. Now, as we go further in time, this complex of storms grows and it can maintain its strength. And, of course, that downdraft, the downward motion of wind within these storms creates a bowing segment of storms, what we call a bow echo, and that's that leading line of strongest winds within a derecho. The complex maintaining itself for hours on end, it can pack strong winds and some tornadoes along the leading line of storms, and over the course of several hours, these complexes of storms can cross hundreds of miles. But there is a criteria that we need to follow for derechos. First, you need to get those severe winds over 58 miles per hour. A large swath of that, over 400 miles in length, is what we need to receive out of damaging wind reports. And of course, the width has to be a pretty wide complex too, over 60 miles long. That is what we got from July 28 to 29 through southern South Dakota in towards North Iowa. Of course, brought all that damage to Hancock County, out towards Cerro Gordo counties as well. And eventually it dove to the south and east. That was roughly over 600 miles this thing tracked through. A very impressive storm for sure. That is a derecho. Of course, that was a timely topic this week. If you have any other questions related to weather or science, please send it in to weather@kimt.com, and I'll be sure to answer it over the coming weeks.
And as we've been talking about, while the cleanup continues, wildfire smoke is adding another hazard. Try to avoid strenuous outdoor activities through Saturday. That's according to our weather team.